A large, threatening Cthulhu-like alien growled in annoyance. "You know who you're dealing with, boy? This won't be the end of me," he yells angrily. The boy, though scared, lifts his arm. The Omnitrix is sparking, damaged, but that can't stop him. He knew he had to win, and at the slap of his wrist, a large explosion filled the ship, sending the Cthulhu creature flying off into space, along with the said ship. Though that day wasn't forgotten, the details were. What was a life of excitement, wonder, fear, turned into mediocrity and, well, disappointment, depending on who you ask. All of this remained up until 7 years later, where our story would truly begin. Hello everybody, welcome back to the third attempt / second remake of Issei Omnitrix. Why am I remaking this a second time? Well, simply put, I didn't like the ending. I couldn't write an ending I liked. Fuck Riser, am I right? Now, we do note we are making one major change to the Omnitrix in this story. And hear me out on this one, because this will make or break this series for you. Canonically, the Omnitrix can't absorb mutant and magical DNA. The mutant part makes no sense, since Nanomech is literally a mutant, but magic becomes very confusing. Ultimate Ben 10K was shown using magic, despite being transformed, and the Omnitrix is also shown being completely fucked by just the presence of magic. Even though he literally interacted with magic when the Omnitrix recalibrated. So, what change am I making? If you can even call it a change. That would be that we're making the Omnitrix compatible with magic. This way, we don't need to come up with an explanation of why the Omnitrix isn't breaking whenever our MC fights. And it gives us freedom as we can turn our MC into a lot more transformations based off of DXT. An explanation for this can go twofold. One which I will give you in the video, and the other being that Azimuth would be familiar and recognize the... Well, I was going to call them celestial beings, but those exist in Ben 10, so we'll just go the long way and say that Azimuth knows what the angels, devils, and fallen angels are. If this bothers you to the point of not enjoying the what if, then see you later, I guess. Bye. I hope you come back for a different series, I guess. But from a writing standpoint, I think this is the best we can do. I hope you enjoyed the video, and yeah, enjoy. Our story resumes the way you remember it. A bunch of perverts sitting at school, talking about their dreams. One of the three is a bit more hesitant to speak out in public, but his goal is the same. Issei Hyoudou wanted to be the harem king. One of Issei's friends mentioned knowing a really good spot. Issei's excited, but he only knows one thing scarier than an angry woman. And he says no thanks. Class instead. He would later learn that his friends got their butt kicked by girls in katanas, or with wooden katanas. My correction. Unfortunate for them. Later that day, on the way home, Issei had something unexpected happen. Not the first time, but weird for his standards. He met a girl. Talked to a girl. Not too weird, he supposed, though still unusual. But what was really weird was she asked him out. Issei was ecstatic. He couldn't believe it. He accepted without hesitation. What guy wouldn't accept a date from a hot girl, right? And after that, he went on his day thinking about how great tomorrow was going to be. He made it home, where he was greeted by his mother and father, and he ran up to his room and put his schoolwork down. However, there was something he noticed. A noise. A really annoying noise at that. Issei turned around and began scavenging his closet before pulling out a device. It was a round object, shaped like a fat disc. but with a green kind of watch look, more like an hourglass, actually. It was beating repeatedly. Issei could only assume what the issue would be. So he activated the disc, seeing what the message was. On the small disc was a message from a small, grayish but old-looking alien. Though it wasn't the first time he had seen this creature before, it certainly had been a long time. The message was simple. A set of coordinates and a directive. Be careful. He is coming. Issei took a moment to try to understand the message before his eyes shrunk and a fear set into his body. It couldn't be, but maybe it was. He would have to wait and see. Thus, Issei snuck out of his house and began to track down the coordinates. It led him to the school, past some creepy house. Apparently it belonged to some school club, something about the occult. He shrugged, turning on his flashlight and running around the building further into the woods. Eventually, he ran into the coordinates, but there was nothing there. Suddenly, he heard something falling. Honestly, kind of cartoonishly. You know, the sound? It's kind of what he heard. A container flew down from the sky, and a sense of deja vu filled Issei's vision before it landed to the ground, knocking Issei away. Issei opened his eyes and walked to the crater. Inside was a strange but familiar device. He reached out for it. The device activated and flung forward, attaching to his wrist. It then blinked a few times, confirming that it was indeed Issei Hyoudou, before turning to standby. Issei knew what this device was, but it was different. It had to be an Omnitrix, but it just was completely different. Last time it was black and green with white stripes, and it had a giant dial. This one wasn't. It had a little bit of black, I suppose. It was a green strap and more like a modern iWatch, smartwatch. Did I really just say iWatch? Oh my god, I'm a fucking boomer. Oh no. Oh no, I'm a boomer. Apologies. Back to our story here. Sorry for my midlife crisis here, realizing I'm a boomer. I'm leaving this in the video because I'm lazy and don't want to edit my video more than I have to. Issei, now having the Omnitrix, which if you haven't figured out is the Omniverse Omnitrix, you wouldn't understand that term though. Issei tapped it a few times before an interface popped up. They then began scrolling. There's some familiar faces and a lot of not so much familiar faces. It made him excited, but also worried. So he just decided to pick one and slap down the dial, seeing what would happen. The next day, Issei was so excited to have his Omnitrix back. So much so, he completely forgot about his girlfriend. He was ready to show her off and stuff. He got a message on the way to school saying he forgot to meet her. As he made it to school, the Omnitrix started beeping. It was alerting him about uncatalogued DNA. So he did what the watch wanted and he followed the signal. Eventually he walked into a hall and the Omnitrix found the cataloged DNA, but he could only see humans. It made him feel uneasy, but it was whatever. He could check it out later. Nonetheless, he did his normal school thing and went to have his date afterwards. However, once again, the Omnitrix insisted that there was uncatalogued DNA nearby. However, as he saw the DNA approaching on the watch, he looked over and only saw his girlfriend Yuma. After the DNA cataloged, he once again shrugged and figured it must be broken. The last one broke pretty much every single day, so it wouldn't surprise him. For the smartest genius in the universe, he makes a bunch of really stupid decisions involving the watch, apparently. Which was definitely not his fault. Definitely wasn't his fault the Omnitrix was broken. He definitely didn't shove the Omnitrix into oil one time trying to get keys. Nope, not at all. He would never do that. Anyway, totally fake and not real stories aside, Issei pursued to have a normal, loving day till it came to an end. He was brought to a fountain with a beautiful sunset dropping above. He'd seen enough anime and read enough manga to know what this was. It was time. Time for a kiss. However, was one thing he didn't account for.